Thank y'all so much for attending tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about how to get our quote unquote challenged clients approved for their new home. I know y'all have probably run across them. They've got a 400 credit score and, or an eviction. And it's not easy to get them approved, but it's also not impossible. So tonight I'm going to give you some things that have worked for me. It doesn't always work, and there are going to be clients that you just can't help. And that's, there are some other ways to work around the system. And we'll talk about what those are. So the first thing is I notice on every client is a little bit different and has different circumstances. And, people get into bad situations. It happens all the time. Divorces, boyfriends, you name it, they lose their jobs. And, a lot of times it's not their fault. Other times it is their fault. But everybody needs a place to live, and that's what our job is. Unfortunately, in my opinion, we're going to see a rise in this come January when they take the eviction moratorium off, as well as the foreclosure moratorium off. So we're going to see a lot of folks scrambling to get into new homes. So one of the first things that I ask my people to do is have them fill out their applications completely. They are notorious for leaving blanks, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out why those blanks are there. And I tell them to be truthful with the landlord. Because when they tell their landlord or put on their application that they have lived with their mother for the last 3 years with their 4 kids, and then their credit report shows that they've lived at 2 other residences, it's not rocket science for the listing agent or the landlord to see that. So I tell them to be completely honest about the situation. And then I'm going to show y'all some things that you can do to help them get approved as far as being from difficult situations. One thing on the application is tell them not to talk badly about their previous landlord. They do it all the time. Oh, that darn landlord, he wouldn't fix anything, or he locked me out. It's like, well, there's a reason he locked you out, because you didn't pay the rent. So, don't put that on the application. Okay. One thing that will save you a bunch of time is if you've got somebody with bad credit or a broken lease or an eviction, don't waste your time showing them houses that have management companies. And there is a search engine when you're in. Let me see if I can find it for y'all.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you know?
Go down here, you see where it says management company, yes or no? And let's just let's go pretend like we're gonna look for let's see, Cypress. There's tons of houses in Cypress, but if you will just go down here under management company, property management, there's a yes. And you can usually tell when you come up here, green residential. The chances of them, getting approved with a management company are slim to none. And the reason for that is management companies typically have a pool of investors, and they tell these investors, we're not going to lease to anybody who has got less than a 600, credit score or has, a broken lease. So, and it's a good way to waste your client's money on application fees, because those application fees can add up very quickly and your clients get really frustrated. So, and understandable. So if you don't even show them, then you won't have that problem. Also, don't show houses that just came on the market. The landlord thinks their house is the best in the neighborhood, but they get a little bit more realistic about who they will lease to when the home has been on the market for more than 30 days. They're like, well, we might consider them. Yeah. So again, you've got to educate your clients. It's like, this house just came on the market. I don't think with your 400 credit score and your pit bull that he's going to accept you. One thing that I've done in the past that has worked is have your clients write a letter of explanation and include it with the application. Typical, example would be, I'm a single mom. I've got 2 kids. I had a terrific job. My credit was excellent. I always paid my bills. And then I got sick, and whatever the case may be. But you also have to include in that same letter is, look, I'm much better now. I'm back at my job. I have, come up with payment plans for my creditors. I make plenty of money right now. I also have additional income, or, whatever the case may be, so that the landlord's like, well, she seems like a nice lady, she's working hard, and it looks like she's trying to succeed. And, landlords are people too. So they do understand that, life happens. Also, I have them include pictures of the family, mom and, the 2 kids and, the cat, or whatever the case may be. Now, we always get those ones that are extra challenged, and those people, we really have to struggle. We don't need to be wasting our time showing them 10 houses, and then they like, okay, I like this one, and then they get denied, and then we go show them more 10 houses. What you need to do in a case like this is, I don't show them anything until I have taken 10 houses that meet their criteria, and I put together a lease package. And I send it to the listing agent and say, hey, this client wants to move in right away. These are her circumstances. This is what happened, and in the package, you need to include a full package. That package should include the application, credit reports, the last 2 months of pay stubs, their driver's license, and that letter of explanation that I told you about just a minute ago. Okay. That way, I put out a blast. It's like, okay, my client is interested in this home, and then typically the listing agent will take a look at it, because she knows her landlord, and she'll say, no, don't waste your time. Or she'll say, yeah, they might consider it. So then I will only show those houses where I've got a yes, they might consider it. That will save you time and gas.
Okay. Real quick, I've been talking to Megan on this, the Texas City duplex that you know of. an issue came up with them supplying their own credit report, and she was pretty adamant about them not, because you can there's, I guess, easy ways to fraud that. How do you how do you feel about that?
Um, I agree that that is definitely, and believe me, it's been done. There are renters out there that'll doctor up a credit report. So some landlords will absolutely require that they run the report.
Okay, yeah,
And it's again a matter of your client telling you the truth or not.
right, right. Okay.
I always tell them, and if you'll have them run a credit report, it saves them all the application fees.
Right, which is nice to do if we can. Yeah.
It absolutely. But you also have to preface that, if you'll send me a recent credit report, I might be able to save you an application fee.
Okay.
Don't tell them you can do it. Just tell them you might, because the landlord will probably, most 9 out of 10 landlords are like, yeah, it's like, who's going to lie about their 400 credit score?
Right.
So, okay. There is a company that I've worked with, and it's called Clean Slate Cosigner. They have a group of apartments that they work with that are second chance. They will help for a fee, of course. They will present these applications to these properties. And the cool thing about them is if you refer them to them, you still get your commission. So you don't have to worry about, them stealing your clients or anything like that. Here is the website. And here is Marcus's phone number. You might want to write that down. He's very, very helpful. It does cost them about 2.5 times the rent to get moved in. But
that's basically the deposit.
yes, yes. And I'm going to show y'all real quick here, just a little intro to their services.
So we can't hear the audio, but we can see what's.
You can't.
No.
So do y'all have any questions about that particular program?
I think so.
Questions?
It's really a pretty good deal. You know, the only problem is, of course, people who have bad credit or, you know, broken leases, a lot of times they just don't have the money. But you will run into them that understand, you know, you have got to have money to get into a new home. Now, another thing that I want y'all to consider is, let me see if I can find it here. Are y'all familiar with apartmentdata.com? It is an awesome website. And there's another webinar that I did that is in the training folder of how to search for apartments for your clients. But I wanted to show you that one of the search engines down here is broken leases.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Not only broken leases, but evictions, foreclosures, felons, because God knows we do get felons. Another great one is, God knows we all get, especially when we have listings, do you accept Section 8? And you can do a search here of apartments that will accept Section 8 housing vouchers. So that's a really good, well, I'm going to, Cypress, I don't think there's any, but we can give it a shot here. Section 8, search. Nope. Oh, there's one. There's one. And that's actually a senior living one. But if you haven't checked out apartmentdata.com, this is a database that we love because it tells us what the commission is for each apartment. And B, you can send an email to the client and say, okay, well, here's the 4 properties that will accept you. What I like about Apartment Data is there is a one-time $50 setup fee, and then it's free for the rest of your career. So it's money well spent. Just one lease will pay for it. Okay, guys. Does anybody have any questions about how to get, or does anybody have any examples of challenged clients?
I have a question and an example.
Okay.
So I have a client, we spoke about him earlier. He has a low credit score, but he also has an eviction, and that eviction is from 4 years ago. How long does an eviction stay with you? And at what point is it, I don't know, it's never acceptable, but at what point is it 5 years and they say, well, that's okay, that was his past, or 10 years?
Yeah, well, of course, it depends on the landlord. But just so you know, if it was an eviction from an apartment complex, the Houston Association of Apartments has their own little credit reporting agency. And through RCR is what it's called, Resident Credit Reporting. It's basically a big warning to all the other apartments. Hey, we evicted this guy. So, but each apartment is going to have, there's no rule as far as how long ago. Well, I'll put it this way. Most will not accept an eviction within the last year, but they certainly get more lenient as the years go by. That also goes for private landlords. You know, some landlords are understanding, and then other landlords like, oh no, not going to happen. So it's a matter of generally how long ago. You're also going to find the same thing with felonies, depending on what it is. You know, if it's a marijuana charge, a lot of landlords are like, whatever. But, you know, if it's, you know, a bank robbery or, you know, robbery or break into a house, you can't help those people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So,
this guy, sorry, go ahead.
No, what's the story with your guy?
I was just saying, this guy's got everything against him. He's got a low credit score. He's got an eviction. He's got, he just recently became self-employed less than 6 months ago. Yeah.
And he doesn't have a pit bull?
I don't understand how he is able to get an apartment to begin with.
Yeah. It's that's going to be really real. I would not personally. I would not spend a lot of time. You know, when you get people like that, a lot of times you need to just, you know, wipe your hands. But I always help them. I say, really, you're going to have a really hard time under these circumstances. What I suggest that you do is go to either the Green Sheet or Craigslist and look on your own.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
This guy, I unfortunately did spend a lot of time with him because for some reason he forgot that he had an eviction.
Okay. Whoops.
He told me he had great credit, never been evicted, everything. He was the perfect guy. So, but he wasn't.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. And you know, there's some people, sometimes you just have to cut loose.
Indeed.
Hey, it's Danielle Novice here. I was just
Hey,
chiming in a
Danielle.
little bit. Hey, I was just thinking about, you know, sometimes the way that goes with those clients that I like to tell them in the beginning, like, hey, I'm on your side. And, you know, if you can tell me what we're working with, I could possibly work through it. But how that guy was dishonest, or maybe he genuinely forgot, but I think he probably knew, you know, about his broken lease. But you know, I know that some of those questions can be very personal to people about their credit score, about their criminal history stuff and things like that. But you know, it's tough when they're not honest with us and we're trying to help them, and we could possibly, you know, influence their application when it's submitted by saying like, yes, they do have an eviction, but look, they have great rental history since, they have, you know, a really good job with steady income, they make 3 times the rent, they, you know, all these wonderful things that are still there. But if we don't know the full picture, it's hard to be able to, you know, at least get it, you know, talk to the other agent on the other end and say, hey, here's what we got. Is this something you think you guys can work with? So to try and save them their application money in the end.
Absolutely, Danielle. Yeah, that's why I do the application package. And I tell them, be honest with me, because they're going to find out soon enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Definitely.
a lesson learned for me.
And another thing that y'all need to keep in mind is, circumstances change. And if you go the extra mile with these clients and you actually get them approved a year from now, you need to put on your calendar, hey, you remember me? I got you into that house. All right, have you been working on your credit? Let's talk about buying a house.
Yeah.
And believe me, the years go by very quickly. But you've got to keep track of them. Every time that I get a lease client about a month before, 11 months after their move-in date, is I always contact them. Hey, how are y'all doing? Do you still like living there? Y'all thought about buying? And that has happened more than once for me.
That credit repair is so important. And I feel like sometimes you have to approach them with that and provide them with the information, because if you don't, some people just sit in the same position and not make any changes whatsoever. And so, you got to encourage them sometimes to say, hey, let's make these steps so that way you can get a better place, even if it is another rental. But if you have better credit, your chances are better getting something nicer. And, if you look into purchasing, the higher your credit, the lower your interest rate, and so many other things, including down payment assistance and what have you. So yeah, sometimes they need that help and guidance.
They do.
I talked to, was it John Ismail for a little while, and he was pretty big on helping people out with their credit and all that. And if they got bad credit, they can go to him and he can, give them advice and kind of not really hold their hand, but, show them what it is that they need to do. So, I mean, that's another thing that we can use is our relationship with, the lenders and those people that can actually help them out.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I think Christy Rogers works with a good credit repair company as well.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any other examples or questions? Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for coming tonight. I know we've had long, busy days, but if you have any questions, you can always call me. My number is 713-705-7837, and I'd be happy to help y'all.
Thanks, Stacey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
You too.